Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Inflection Resources, chatting with Alistair Waddell, the president and CEO. And we have some big news to talk about as the company just announced yesterday that they are acquiring a portfolio of projects from Newmont across Australia, in New South Wales, and the Northern Territory. Inflection is traded on the CSE under the symbol AUCU and on the OTCQB under the symbol AUCUF. Now, Alistair, let's talk about this deal, how it came together. 12 projects in total across two different land packages, as I said, in New South Wales and the Northern Territory. Give us an overview of these projects and this deal. Why Newmont is offloading these projects to Inflection Resources.
Absolutely. So we've been systematically, reviewing new opportunities, particularly throughout Australia for Inflection, pretty much non-stop. That's part of what we do. We're always looking for new things. And this one really came across our desk and it ticked a lot of the key attributes that we're really looking for. Essentially, we want 100% ownership of these assets. They're big copper gold properties, and they very much fit with our sort of core strategy of big underexplored plays, good locations. And what we've done, we've acquired, as you say, 12 projects from Newmont. 11 of those are in Northern Australia, in the Northern Territory. And these are what we call IOCG targets, or iron oxide copper gold targets. These are big targets that were generated through sort of first principles targeting by Newcrest. And these sort of fell out a little bit of the merger between Newcrest and Newmont. And they cover a series of big geophysical targets under very shallow cover, extending over about 150 kilometers from east to west. And they straddle a major east-west highway in northern Australia, so they're super well located. And these targets have really only received fairly cursory exploration by Newcrest when the merger happened. So they're a sort of perfect fit for Inflection, and they tick a lot of our sort of boxes that we look for. Now, in New South Wales, we acquired another project. This one is called Bell River. And this is very much following the theme of what we've been doing with AngloGold Ashanti in New South Wales, exploring the belt of rocks called the Macquarie Arc. This is the big belt of rocks that hosts some of Australia's biggest copper gold mines. The big one in the belt is Newmont's Cadia operation. There's another couple called Cowell and another one called North Parks. These are huge mining operations. And this was a sort of an orphaned property owned by Newmont that was part of a package that was being divested and really ticks some key boxes for us. So it's big copper gold porphyry target in this case, areas of alteration in parts of the belt that are actually got good outcropping geology. So the area that we've been exploring up to this point has all been in sort of the northern covered extension of this big belt of rocks, Macquarie Arc. So this one is essentially outcropping, so we can see the geology, and it contains a lot of favorable alteration and geochemistry, typical of what we would want to see in the vicinity of these big porphyries that we're exploring for. So we're super excited to bolt that one on to our New South Wales portfolio, as well as getting stuck into these new projects in Australia's Northern Territory.
So, Alistair, all these projects look fairly early stage, but can you give us some insights on what has been done, what sort of exploration has been done at all of these projects, and if any one or two or three are a bit more advanced on that exploration front?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bell River in New South Wales has received some historical drilling, but not really in the areas that we're particularly interested in. So there's been some sort of satellite, what we call spectral interpretation being done, looking to map out sort of alteration that we'd hope to see in the vicinity of these porphyries. And we found big areas of this favorable alteration that have not yet been drill tested. And that's what's really caught our attention. So it's early stage, but we think we can get that one to a drill stage fairly quickly. in the Northern Territory on our Tennant East project. A little bit earlier stage, although it has received a handful of drill holes completed by Newcrest. This was very much sort of scout drilling into some of these key geophysical features that they'd identified through their sort of regional targeting study. But they have intercepted favorable geochemistry. They have hit some really strong alteration, typical again of what you would see in the vicinity of these IOCG copper gold type systems. So again, it ticks some key boxes for us, but very much underexplored. But they've taken away, a lot of the uncertainty in terms of identifying rocks at the right age with the right characteristics. So again, I think we can hit the ground running here in the Northern Territory once the deal is closed.
Alistair, I want to talk corporate strategy then, because look, Inflection Resources is, I think, for the most part, known for your exploration agreement earn-in with AngloGold Ashanti, where they have designated 4 projects in a phase 2 exploration earn-in. They're funding those programs. And you had some other projects within the portfolio. Now you're bringing in 12 more projects. And you're bringing these projects in for about 1.25 million shares. You get 100% interest of these projects. There's some success payments down the road, but how do these projects fit in with AngloGold Ashanti already, that exploration earn-in that's going there?
Yeah, so they complement our existing portfolio very, very well, particularly Bell River in New South Wales. It's more or less a similar theme, but the key point here is the AngloGold Ashanti agreement continues and is separate from these transactions. That will tick along in the background. We're following up some drilling that we did late last year, where we had some success on our Trangie project, and we've got a number of other projects ahead of us that AngloGold are planning to drill. But really, it's very complementary to our existing portfolio. The properties in the Northern Territory a little bit different. We're sort of going to step back a little bit on that one, do a bit of a data review first, and then sort of forge a way forward on those. But a key part of our strategy is consistently reviewing all of our projects, and we rank the projects, and it's always in the best interests of the company to drill the very best projects. So the new ones will have to stack up against the existing portfolio, and we'll drop those that don't rank accordingly. So it's a constant process of upgrading and downgrading projects, and that this is a key part of our strategy going forward.
So just to be clear, I assume you'll be bringing these to AngloGold Ashanti, showing them this portfolio. But do they have a first right of refusal on any of these? Or quite frankly, can you just take them to any large mining company and see if they want to partner up?
AngloGold does not have a right of first refusal or anything like that. But, obviously they're great partners and shareholders of ours. And yes, obviously we'll show them to AngloGold once the deal closes. But yes, we're completely free to take these to other major mining companies. And we think, frankly, that it will be a great fit for a number of big companies. These are very large scale targets. We're really only focusing on things that have the scale to potentially deliver a true tier 1 discovery. So we think these targets should appeal to a broad spectrum of major mining companies targeting copper gold deposits in Australia.
Well, now you have a much larger project portfolio to, I guess, take to all these major companies. Let's get a right here and now exploration update with those 4 projects that are in that phase 2 exploration earn-in with AngloGold Ashanti. Any updates you can give us on where drills are turning, what news is coming, anything on that front?
Yeah, so since our last news a few weeks ago, we've been focusing in on our Trangie target. So we announced there a few weeks ago we'd intercepted true porphyry style mineralization on our Trangie target in hole number 23. And this returned about 60 meters of give or take about 0.4 of a gram gold with some elevated copper values. But critically, it had all the key attributes in terms of geochemistry and alteration that we're looking for. So everybody was very excited about that. And since that time, we've been doing sort of step out holes and further drilling in and around that's very specific target. But going forward, There's a plan to drill test some of our other projects. I think from Trangie, the rig moves on to our Crooked Creek project, and then after that onto our Ningham project. So it's a very systematic and disciplined approach taken by AngloGold, and not necessarily driven by the market, but we're really just laser focused on expanding that discovery at Trangie and still continuing to test a number of other targets that have yet to be drill tested. So we're super happy with it and very excited about how that's progressing. But as I say, this will really run in parallel with some of these other things we've just been talking about.
Now, any outlook you can provide us for the back half of this year, since we're pretty much halfway through the year, on these other projects that you will be offering to partners in terms of work programs, in terms of even the budget or the cash that the company has to work up yourselves all these other projects?
Yeah, so it'll be relatively low cost, certainly for the foreseeable weeks and few months regarding the stuff in the Northern Territory and the Bell River property in New South Wales. It's mostly going to be data compilation and formulating a plan to go forward. And we really want to rank the various targets and apply a lot of good geoscience to the data and things. So there's be an element of that. But yeah, I'd love to see some drilling on one or two of those projects, certainly before year end. We've also got the projects in northern New South Wales that were not included as part of phase two with AngloGold Ashanti. So we're systematically working our way through those. There are a number of targets within that portfolio that we're certainly still very excited about as well. So they need to fit into the mix as well. But really, in terms of news flow, it's really about drilling from AngloGold Ashanti. So the ongoing drilling there, and then there'll be sort of various updates on these new acquisitions as well. But that's really the plan for the foreseeable handful of months anyway.
All right. Well, Alistair, sounds like you have a lot of work ahead of you. So we'll wrap it up here. I will follow up with you when we get more news on really anything that's going on. Now that your portfolio has grown immensely and ongoing exploration with that earn-in exploration partner, AngloGold Ashanti. For everyone listening, please keep sending me your questions for Alistair. I'll get him to address those for you and in future calls. So Alistair, thank you very much for this update.
Thanks very much, Corey. Cheers.